Hey everyone, welcome to the Make Your Peace podcast over at 4YE, where we're talking about Wynonna Earp. My name is Catherine Meushaw, and I've got fellow staff writer Lara Hayes with me.
Hello.
So today we're discussing Wynonna Earp Season 2, Episode 4, She Ain't Right. And before we get into the discussion, I want to go a quick recap. So this was a lot. There's a lot going on.
Everything happened in this episode.
All of the things happened, and Dominique Provost-Chockley sang. Those are the important things. All right. So we get to find out. Well, Wynonna and Waverly finally talked about the goo. Unfortunately, It led to Waverly transferring the goo to Wynonna.
I like that the black demon goo is basically mono.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
That's what I'm rolling with.
I also kind of liked how it was somebody said this in the hangout, the Whiskey and Donuts hangout, that it was very succubus-y as far as it was very Lost Girl-esque with the effect. So yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
So we find out that Dolls is some sort of dragon creature, or that the serum brought more of that out to him because the breathing fire seemed to surprise him. And what else? The Gardner family is now even more creepy because Mercedes and Beth had their faces stolen.
Yeah.
By the creepy
we had white male privilege. Check, check, check.
More patriarchal bullshit.
More of it.
So, I mean, like I said, a lot happened in this episode. It was nice that they didn't hang on to that conversation between Wynonna and Waverly too long, because some shows would definitely drag that out. So it was nice that they talked about it. Nicole got threatened by a creeper, so I'm a little worried about that.
I kind of feel like that's a once an episode sort of thing, though. If she's not, if she doesn't have some dude in her face, then it's just not a day in purgatory for poor Nicole.
This is true. I mean, she is a cop.
Yeah.
So, but I just I want to, I don't need to recap the whole thing. I wrote one. So quick first thoughts. What were your first thoughts during this episode and then afterwards?
The first thing that caught me, I mean, that opening scene with, Gooverly twirling the knife around the homestead, it left me shook. And the thing that I noticed, that I don't really know why it took me so long to notice it before, is I think the thing that makes her so unsettling isn't necessarily the black contacts, which, I mean, it's a hard look to pull off, but I don't think it's that alone. She wears this really menacing little smirk, and I think it's so unsettling because Dom has such a wide, welcoming smile, and there's like a childlike enthusiasm to Waverly that I'm used to seeing. So, I mean, right off the bat, I got that from this episode, and it was kind of an aha moment for me, pinpointing what it is about the way she holds herself, not necessarily, what the costume department is doing, as far as underscoring the menace within Waverly.
Oh yeah, I mean that whole scene, that opening scene was just, it was gorgeous, and it was such a creepy, gorgeous, oh, the shots, the music, the pairing, that just her walking around. And you're right, she's got that, Gooverly has that, it's just that underlying creepy that Dom plays so well. It's because it's Waverly, but it's not, and it's very the first, this season she's been very off, and some of it's minor, but some of it's, it's where it's just you're looking at her going, Waverly, and it's not my Waverly, it's something else.
And like on what you just said, like last thoughts, again, like going right back to Waverly, like when we did finish the episode and, Gooverly has that, chilling monologue, with her back turned to Wynonna. The thing that really stood out to me was, her saying that Waverly was fighting her so hard. And I was really kind of on the fence about Gooverly before that happened because she's like strangling dudes and like she seems to be having a blast, and you find out in that moment with Wynonna that those are the moments that Gooverly is having fun, but that this entire time it's something that Waverly has been railing against, not relishing.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed just that last scene, the everything with the Gooverly in that last scene, and just it's we have other characters talking about how Waverly is strong, but not necessarily she's not necessarily treated like that. Like the whole first season, because she's the baby sister and Winona
Right.
is fiercely protective. You don't necessarily see that, and it's been like the whatever's possessing her saying, "Oh, she's really strong." I believe Bobo was the one who was like, "There's a darkness in her," and kind of pulling out that Waverly is strong. And it's interesting that it's those characters. It's very interesting to me that it's those characters really talking about Waverly's strength.
That's a really good point. I like that a lot. You're right about that. I think one of the most heartbreaking moments for me was probably one of the biggest laughs in the episode, strangely enough. And it was when Waverly was trying to convince Lakato or anyone for that matter, like to let her join the mission, and she goes on this spiel where she's just like she's listing all of her strengths, like she's super bendy, she can fit in small places, she speaks 4 languages, and she's rattling through this list of positive attributes, and I knew I was supposed to be laughing at it, but I felt like it was something that Waverly constantly has to do with people and that she's always ready to do. Like she's got a little laminated handout somewhere because she knows she's going to be discounted or overlooked. She knows she's going to be picked last for the team. And it's something every time we sort of see that in Waverly, it breaks my heart.
Oh, totally. And it's just, and it's an age thing. She's 21, so I mean, she's the baby, and like I said, Wynonna's worked hard to protect her, and hasn't really been that she was for so long wasn't in town, wasn't there to protect Waverly. So I think, especially since Willa's died, she's like way overprotective. But even in season 1, she was so unwilling to let Waverly help, and that was so heartbreaking. Where it's like she doesn't even list that she's fluent in 4 languages first. The first thing she lists is, "I'm super bendy, I can speak 4 languages, and I was once hit by a tranquilizer dart and didn't miss band practice." So she squeezes in that she speaks 4 languages fluently in between these 2 things that are kind of like a little ridiculous to mention. So she's cushioning her intelligence in these kind of, well, I'm super bendy, and I want to hear about the tranquilizer dart.
Yeah.
I want to know how that happens.
No, way to bury the lead. You're right. Yeah.
And even so, Lakato still looks to Wynonna to make the decision.
Yeah, she settles for Waverly in front of Waverly.
And it's just, I have all of the feelings just about, this episode was such a good Earp Sisters episode.
It was.
And just like moments like that, moments after they get tied up and Waverly is so hurt that nobody trusted her or had faith in her that she could do this. And then, later on she jokes, worst birthday ever. And it's like, there's that moment where Wynonna's like, did I miss your birthday? And Waverly's like, did you not know? And I have, you know, and I'm left wondering, I've seen a couple of conversations online, whether it was a throwback to the pilot, where that's how Wynonna greets Waverly after Waverly shoots at her, not shoots her. Wynonna puts her hands up, and it's worst birthday ever.
Yeah.
So somebody suggested it was a callback, but, one of my first thoughts was she's kind of feeling Wynonna out. And that she's feeling like, she doesn't think she's an Earp, and she knows Willa doesn't think she belongs. And my first thought was she's kind of feeling Wynonna out and seeing if trying to get a feel for how Wynonna feels, and if Wynonna thinks that she remembers details like her birthday, like if she matters that much, like if she thinks she's an Earp, kind of that thing. That was my first thought with it.
It also harkens back to a conversation that she had with Willa. And she sort of blew up at Willa, and she said that, Daddy remembered your birthday. And
yes.
Yeah.
So it's, I'm interested to see if it comes up again, or how it comes up, and how it comes up later when she finally gets an answer about her parentage.
Yeah. Also, somebody just tell me her birthday, like, please. I will put it in my calendar, Catherine. I will never forget.
Yes, we need an answer on that. We should ask Emily Andress.
We should.
So yeah, it's just so many those little moments, and how Wynonna is just, when she looks at her and is like, trying to comfort her when Waverly is like, there's something wrong with me, and Wynonna launches into, you've been stressed, we've had a lot going on, there's demons in town, really trying to comfort her and say, no, baby girl, there's nothing wrong with you. And, when Waverly, really says, you think so too, you thought I killed that guy for a second. And it's just, all of that whole thing is just a punch in the heart, man. And then Wynonna's just like, we're going to get out of here, and we're going to work together to figure this out. And I love them.
I do too. And that was another part. It was something that I needed confirmation on, and something that I was waiting for was, we had that really great moment between Nicole and Wynonna, where they, bury the figurative hatchet, and they're both just, making peace with each other because they're both concerned about, Waverly. And, we've seen Wynonna's concern over how Waverly is acting, and Nicole has made hers perfectly clear. But what we haven't been shown directly is whether or not Wynonna fears these changes in Waverly. But when there's that, they're at the club and the man is lying on the floor, and she immediately asks, Waverly if she killed him, I was like, okay, so she is, she is as concerned as she needs to be.
She's scared. I mean, in her mind, she's got to be thinking, oh my God, am I going to have to kill another sister?
And why did you do that to me?
I'm sorry, but she's thinking it. And I loved that scene with her and Nicole. I love that she kind of, she didn't have to apologize. She could have not apologized. And I think that's an important thing about Wynonna is, she's not as hard as she comes off, as she tries to be.
Yeah. And she's not petty.
Right. And she likes Nicole. We've seen that she likes Nicole. We know that they had, they had a good rapport. And I like that she apologized. And I like that she was where they were both hesitant to really, talk about Waverly and be basically tattle on her, which, they were hesitant, Nicole's, I don't want to break a confidence. And, Wynonna's kind of very off the cuff. She's been sleepwalking. She's been, she took a mission with Black Badge and stuff like that, very off the cuff, not really kind of going into details. And then they get distracted by the spoon. But, I really like that scene. I love Nicole. I'm really enjoying Nicole this season. Her scenes have been excellent, and I really like that scene with, with Wynonna and Nicole. I think it was really important, and I love that she kind of owned up that she was kind of brash.
I do too. And kind of like to piggyback off what you loved about that scene, I really love this bro TP like between Doc and Dolls. I love
Oh my God, yes.
I love that Doc is spearheading the basement serum project. It kind of gives me Lost Girl feels like circa season 4, Lauren and Dyson vibes. You know, when when they finally realize that loving the same woman doesn't put them in competition with one another, that it makes them a team. And I think Dolls and Doc have gotten there a lot quicker than Lauren and Dyson, which I dig. It doesn't all have to be ship wars and contention all the time. I don't want to pick between these guys because they're both stand-up dudes. I want Wynonna to just thruple them both.
That would be pretty fabulous. I like that, the OT3. But no, I love that too. And just Doc in the background, you know, watching Doc just kind of taking care of Dolls, you know, making sure he's covered with a blanket, just that little stuff I absolutely loved. And then their little banter when they're talking about Wynonna and Doc's like, well, she doesn't know what she wants, but I bet she wants it to be human. And then Dolls tells him, you know, you look small without your hat.
Yeah.
And I love that because they're able to have that, like you were saying, they're able to have that banter and stuff like that without it being too much, without it being like, oh God, here we go again. And I think it's a fault of the love triangle in TV when they do that constant arguing. And I think they're onto something. So I absolutely.
Yeah. I completely agree with what you just said. Like so often it's just, you know, they're just put in direct opposition together. But I really feel like on this show, everybody is just Team Wynonna, Team Earp sisters. And I think that that's a better way to tell a story.
Mm-hmm. Because you can still have conflict. They're showing that. You can still have that conflict. There can still be
there can still be severed hands, Catherine. Like,
oh my God, she got her hand cut off. That was And you know, like in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, where's the goo to show that like goo was late to the party? And then at the end of the episode, it kind of gets explained where it's like, you know, the goo demon kind of has to conserve its strength, so that's why it didn't appear beforehand and just like rescue them all. But oh God, that was like, even though you're kind of like, oh, she can't be losing her hand for good, but you know, it's kind of like when Nicole got shot in season 1. Right. You know she's gonna be fine, but it still stresses you out. Like I still had to pause it and walk around the house.
I think I was in full on denial when Waverly's hand got put in that vice. Like in retrospect, I have no idea how I did not know where this was going, but I swear to you, I did not make the connection. And earlier in the episode, Bone Claw like cuts briefcase dude's hand off, and I still just like la la la, like did not go there in my head, and I just was not ready. And I don't know why Andres would put me through something so horrible.
Because she's Emily Andres. That's how that goes. She loves to make us squirm. But no, it's just, and you're right, that was an excellent piece of foreshadowing. But the best part about it, it's, you know, yeah, it's an excellent piece of foreshadowing, but it happened before the credits. And a lot happened between the dude getting his hand cut off and Waverly getting hers.
Right.
And even so, you don't think, okay, here's this second season, episode 4, a main character is about to get her hand chopped off. Like, you think, because you know Doc is on his way, you think that somebody is going to come in at the last minute and stop it. Because that's what happens. You know, you think you see Wynonna untying herself, and you think that she's going to get up and just save her. You do not think that Waverly is going to lose her hand. And I think that's the best part, is they still keep you on your toes.
I think it, like, just like going back to one little thing that you said, like, it's like that's just like not something that we were bracing ourselves for, because like you don't think that one of your main characters is just going to lose an appendage, like, you know, season 2, episode 4. I mean, it took Xander 7 years to lose that eye, but I'm like, I like that quiet has now been taken from us. Like, now I'm going to be waiting for the severed appendage in season 2 of every show I ever watch.
Yeah, who gets a hand cut off now? What about a finger? Come on now.
Just one
No,
more
it's
little piece of Emily Andrus's legacy.
yes, that will be her legacy. Not bearing the gaze and chopping off hands early.
Speaking of gays, we got to welcome Jeremy to the family.
Yes, that was so delightful, because there were, like, you know, back when he was like flirting with dolls and Doc in episode 2, I'm like, oh, he's gay. But I saw a couple of people talking about like, oh, he's just interested in like the science or whatever, and I'm like, no, he's gay. And or at least he's okay. I shouldn't label. No, he's okay. He didn't. Okay, yeah. So he's gay, and I really enjoy how they did that, where it's just, you know, how I kind of love Jeremy. He's a delightful addition to the group. But no, I loved that. Just that, you know, this is in his awkward way. It's like, this isn't going to work because you're a girl. And I liked that.
I did. It was really straightforward, but it wasn't too much of a punchline. It didn't make him a joke. And that's what I appreciated about it. And, you know, I mean, I think Emily Andrus is one of the bravest showrunners working today. I really do. And, you know, she doesn't back down. She doesn't pull her punches. You know, she makes her points. You know, she drops it with some humor, but she doesn't backpedal. And I adore that about her. And I'm so happy that we got that moment of clarity, you know, with Jeremy, because you're right. It was really easy to sort of brush him off as like the nerdy weird guy, you know, like Scott on Orphan Black, you know, just just weird and clueless. Like we could have brushed it off to that, but you know, Emily Andrus was like, no.
Yeah, and just because you're right, they didn't make a joke, and that's so important. And it was just kind of like, that's a very real interaction. You know, that's an interaction that, you know, any LGBT person is like, you know, any gay person is just like, oh, hey, yeah, that's not going to work because of A, B, and C or whatever, right. You know, and it's, and it was very real, and it was very kind of simple, and it was still his delightful, awkward thing, and I adore him.
I did too.
So,
he had that other, you know, he had another great moment with Wynonna, you know, like ripping that jacket off of her. And she, you know, like, you know, immediately thought he was the fire starter. And, you know, I loved it. I tweeted something about it when it happened. I love it because that is me, Catherine. I don't explain anything with science if I can misinterpret it as magic. That's how I live my whole life.
That's fabulous. No, that was one of my, like, that was such a fun moment where it's like her immediate thought was not, oh, there's something on my jacket. Her immediate thought was, oh my God, you're pyrokinetic. That's so cool. And I adored that. That was so great. So,
to be fair, I guess she does see really freaky stuff like in her day-to-day life. So I'll give her that. Like, it's not like I go around, you know, like shooting demon revenants. I don't have that excuse. At least I know it does.
But who doesn't want to believe your world's a little bit more magical? But I mean, she does, and she did just kind of get to see lizard dolls. So, I mean, there's. Oh wait, no, she hadn't. Yeah, she had seen them yet. Sorry, the timeline's a little. So, but yeah, I think it's okay if you want to believe in that magic a little bit.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I got you. Who doesn't? But yeah, I love that. You know, you can start fires, and it's like, oh, Wynonna, never change, please. Although I guess we'll get a little bit of change with Wynonna.
Yeah. Let's talk about Wynonna for a second, because I'm seeing a lot of stuff online about people, like fully expecting, I think you and I talked about it too, like fully expecting people to just, or for Wynonna to just go like full Team Goo, like right away. And I believe that she will. What are your thoughts on Wynonna?
I've seen that, and I've seen the argument like, oh, Waverly, like the goo was attracted to the darkness in Waverly, and it's attracted to the darkness in Wynonna, and that's why. And I think that Wynonna might bend to it, might not fight that much, but not because she's any less strong, not because there's more darkness. I think she might let it take over a little bit more because it's an escape of some kind. To not have to fight, to be able to kind of just be like, okay, this is happening. Yeah. So I think if it completely takes over quicker and stronger, I think it's more of she has a moment where she's just like, I can let this happen and, take a breather, basically, if that makes sense. It kind of like how Buffy, so spoiler if you haven't seen Buffy, but or anybody listening who hasn't seen Buffy, but like get on that.
Get off our podcast. No, I'm
wait until you finish. No, because, in season 6 of Buffy, she kind of did that too, where she was, kind of
invisible, yes.
Done. And she just kind of wanted to get a taste of what it's like to not be the Slayer. There's a few episodes. It was that episode whose title I can't remember, which makes me really sad, so I'll have to look it up later. And then also she does it in that episode and then normal again. So I think if Wynonna does get completely taken over, I think it's not going to be because she's not strong or not going to be because she has more darkness, because I don't think it's fair to say that Wynonna has more darkness, quote unquote. I think she's just got a lot emotionally and like mental health wise. I don't think that's necessarily darkness. So I think it'd be more of I don't feel like fighting right now.
Right, I'm tired. I fall on your side of this. Like we've seen Wynonna really struggling with this chosen one burden, like from the jump, episode 1, season 1, and with everything that she's gone through, not just on the show, but I mean, the horrific stuff that was only alluded to, to build up her backstory in the first season. I mean, she's had a life, and I think with everything that she's been through, I think the demon sensed that she would be an easy mark. And like you, I don't say that because I believe that she's weak. I believe that she has been through so much, and she really never wanted any of this. Unlike Waverly, she didn't want to be a hero. That's not something that she chased after. She didn't study for it. She didn't prepare for this. She spent her whole life running from it, and she didn't want to shoot Willa. I think we need to brace for full Wynonna, like from the jump. I think Wynonna is gonna let go and let go. Thank you.
That was good. Yeah, it's the goo puns are gonna be just amazing. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to seeing if the goo has truly completely left Waverly.
Ooh.
And I'm interested to see, because if it hasn't and it can infect multiple people at a time, that would be so interesting.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And on that vein, I have seen some speculation and it took people speculating for me to really think about it. But, last episode when Waverly kisses Nicole and says not good enough, the not good enough was, Waverly, as far as we know, because her eyes weren't black. And that line still bothers me. but I had some people speculating because, that line bothered me because it's like, it was almost like, oh, when you first are out as a couple and you've got one person who's like, I'm going to wave this rainbow flag and like totally unconscious of the world around them. And then you've got the other person who's like, been around longer, been out longer and been like, no, we got to tone it down. Plus I'm in uniform and I'm at work. So that's kind of originally how it read to me a little bit. Like it was kind of one of those, like it read very weird to me so it's been bothering me because it was a very weird read and I didn't like it. But I saw some people speculating that that not good enough was the goo trying to transfer to Nicole.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, and I think, it would be in for a fight with Nicole. Not again, it's not a dig at Wynonna to say that she's gone through so much, but I think Nicole has a pretty firm handle on who she is, what she's here to do, who she loves, where she's at in her life, what she wants out of her life. I feel like she's got a really level head on her shoulders, and I think that would be very hard for the demon to exploit that. So that's a really interesting theory. I love it.
Yeah, I saw it online and I was like, oh, like that makes more sense. Or I think I saw it online or heard it in the Hangout, Whiskey and Donuts Hangout. I don't remember. I lose track by the time it's Monday. I lose track. And I try not to read things before I finish my recap. But yeah, it's so I was intrigued by that because Nicole's, we don't know a lot about Nicole, and even I'm so excited that we're getting hints of her being angry and hints of a different kind of her, like side of her. Like that was one thing last season when I talked to Kat Burrell, like we were talking about how we want to see Nicole get angry and just see this side of like a different side of her and kind of see what she's passionate about and see what outside of work and everything. So I'm very interested and I'm very intrigued. So I can't wait for that side of it either. Because we don't know a lot about Nicole. And so we just know like what you were talking about. So it's, she may not let the goo overtake her. And that was why Gooverly said not good enough. And I like that significantly better than what I was thinking last week. So
I like that a lot too. I like that a whole lot. Not good enough. There's like, it's par for the course on a show like this that you're going to have a lot of like ominous, like warnings and dialogue from, your baddies and stuff. But I swear, like, maybe you felt the same way too. Like when Bone Claw, got himself fried by dolls and he was laying on the floor and he was like, something's coming or whatever. I literally weary sighed, like, because so much had already happened and I was capped. Like, I was capped before the goo became an STD. Like, I could not handle anymore. And then that happened and I was just like, man, and this is the 4th episode of this season. And I know that you consume TV like I do. Like the pace that Andres is setting is just, it's breakneck. It's unbelievable.
Because a lot of this, with the reveals and everything, we're very safe to the finale-esque.
Yeah.
Like saving like the goo transfer and stuff like that. So some of it had a very, like, because of what was packed in, it was very finale-esque. So I always get nervous with stuff like this because I have a tendency to not like season 2 of a series.
Really?
As much as I like a season 1. With some exceptions, but for some reason, it's like season 2s for me are always really, really hit or miss. You
have to be odd man out in that because I feel that way about like first seasons. Like I have to like dig my heels in with a show and be like, just make it through the first season, let them find their footing. I think that Wynonna Earp and probably Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are like the two shows. And Orphan Black. So those three shows really got me right away. But I've never heard anybody say that before. That's crazy.
I know. Well, I mean, it's because I do love first seasons of a lot of things because you meet your characters and everything. So now that being said, so I get really nervous in season 2s of series, yeah, whatever. So at the pace we're going, I'm hoping they maintain pace because every so often you do get a lull, and I'm hoping that it's a 12 episode season. We don't get a lull because we're going to feel it so much harder. But I trust Emily and the gang, so I'm not looking for that to happen. But I always get nervous when you've got so much has happened. But it's a great pace. I'm enjoying the pacing a lot.
I think it says a lot about like the little gay that I am, that I'm like, look, yeah, I'm with you and I want a lot to happen, but I'm real scared. Like, I have a lot of trust. I have a lot of trust in Emily Andres. Like, I mean, maybe more than is healthy, but I at the same time, like, there's always a part of me that is just bracing for devastation. And a lot of it has to do with the shows that I gravitate towards, but so I'm with you, but I'm a few steps behind you, sort of like pushing you into calamity ahead of me.
That's right. That's okay. I'll take it. I will be the shield if you need me to. I will. No, it's so I'm enjoying the pacing and everything. I mean, we got so much happened in this episode. We got so many little tidbits, like the number of times they've mentioned Wynonna Earp just in this series.
True.
I mean, you got several mentions this episode. Did we know that he worked with Black Badge? Because I do not remember that he worked with Black Badge.
I don't remember that either, but hopefully, if anybody listens to this, they can leave us a comment if we're wrong, but I thought that was new information.
Okay, yeah, I could not remember, and I know I've seen this series, like season 1, an obscene number of times, so I could not remember if they casually mentioned it. And so I'm kind of really looking forward to seeing that, and like what's with the plates, and why was it?
That's exactly where I was going. How funny was the plate in this unbreakable metal case? You know what? Okay, I apologize now for me finding any possible way to work root from person of interest into this. But it reminded me, I know, I'm so sorry, I'm already doing it. But it reminded me of that episode where she had to go on that hunt for the indestructible briefcase, and there was a Fabergé egg inside that she just opened up and threw against the wall because the case was all that she needed. I had to laugh about that because it did remind me of that scene.
But, I mean, look at that briefcase. We don't know what else is in there. And we don't know, there could be something underneath the plate. There could be, it's sitting on something. It could just be like, oh, hey, yeah, I've got this plate that I'm securing. So I'm wondering if there's something else in the briefcase, or, like, I don't know. What's with the plate?
Like
what happened?
Noob right now. Like, you're so right. Like, why didn't I think, like, I should have been shouting, lift the plate. Like, I didn't. I was just like, oh, it's a plate.
Yeah, I mean, what's up with the Purgatory Fair from 52? Like, yeah, see, I spend way too much time thinking about TV, which is why we had to have this podcast cast, so I could analyze every little thing and not create, like, a recap that's 4,000 words long.
I really like that, though. I love your conspiracy theories. And at 3 a.m. when I can't sleep because I'm too busy thinking about all of these terrible things you've put into my head, I'm just going to direct message you and wake you up. Like, that's what's going to happen.
That's fine. My phone is, like, it's on silent at night. So
there we go.
And if anybody else wants to rant at me about what I'm saying, that's fine too. I'll put my Twitter up. It'll be fine. All right. So what other plot things? Oh, that's one thing we haven't talked about yet. Okay, we haven't talked about the gardeners or just the tiny little Juan Carlo got another mention.
True.
And I'm interested again. I'm broken record. I'm interested in this. I'm interested in that. Now I'm interested in the Juan Carlo thing again because he's gotten his first mention this season. We haven't heard him or, seen him or heard of him or anything this whole season. He's gotten his first mention, and it was to tell Dolls, you're not done yet. Your job isn't done yet, and to drive him back to the homestead.
Yeah.
So Dolls is very important for whatever crazy thing is coming out of the Hellmouth. Oh, sorry, that seal in the basement.
So sorry. Yeah, I'm curious to see where they go with that. I'm curious if they'll do like a sort of like a double feature baddie kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like with like you've got like a human entity that you're battling against, and we've got these scary black vapor demons. So I'm wondering if it's going to be a twofer.
Yeah, I can't wait. That should be. I'm intrigued. And speaking of we touched on it earlier, but the gardeners thing, like, I was not expecting the Beth and Mercedes nonsense, and then those demons that are like, oh, we sense your darkness, and we're gonna get you what you want. And Tucker's all like, I want a lady, and you're like, oh, he's going for the lady. So I am.
Yeah.
I didn't talk a lot about, or at all, I think, about the Gardner family, and I think it's because it's just so, like, creepy. It was so creepy how they did that, and who is it? Danny Kind, who plays Mercedes, was so great in her opening scene with just the casual, like, bacon, and something's wrong, but her brother's like, you're just being weird, and like, that was so good. But they're so creepy, and why?
Yeah, when that closet door opened up, that was another one. You know what I mean? Like, I watch so much TV, and it's wonderful for me when I can land on a show that I get so excited about that I'm not making leaps in my head to try to piece things together. When she opened that door and the bodies were there on the floor, like, I don't know about you, but I was totally surprised. I did not see it going down that way. Again, Andres owned me.
There was a lot of all caps tweeting and cursing on my end throughout the episode, and that was probably one of those things. Just because I wasn't, I wasn't expecting it. Like, we heard them get attacked, and we know something wasn't right, but I wasn't expecting that amount of not right. So it's interested to see.
I was expecting more possession. I wasn't expecting dead bodies.
Right. Yeah, I think they weren't dead though. They weren't dead, Laura.
No, that's worse.
Did you catch that? They were still kind of like making noise and moving and stuff. So
no, I don't like that.
Hi, welcome to our podcast where we discuss your nightmares.
Where we discuss the rate of decomposition on these almost dead bodies. No, that's disgusting. One thing that I'm sorry, I just realized I just jumped, but one thing that really bothered me was the Waverly hand reveal. Like, she, pulls off the rag, and she's got this shiny new appendage, and immediately everyone disregards the bloody rag on the floor. And they're all just like, yeah, power of suggestion, totally. And they just, like, kick the rag out of their way on their way out the door. And I'm just like, why did nobody thought that the bloody rag was a clue that Wynonna saw what she saw?
I also, if I were Wynonna, I'd be like wanting to run back downstairs and be like, there is a hand here. Because, also somebody pointed this out, and I cannot remember who it was. And I'm sorry, you guys, that I keep pointing this stuff out and not remembering who it was. But somebody pointed it out, the new hand also didn't have her nails painted or was missing the ring. So it was very obviously not her original hand.
God bless all the little magical beings out there who are, like, screen capping every second of the episode, and they catch stuff like that. Like, that is just, God, fandom is beautiful. I'm sorry that has no bearing on the episode whatsoever. I think that's amazing and wonderful that somebody caught that her nail polish was missing.
Yeah, I mean, and I noticed it after somebody said that, so I cannot remember who that was. Sorry, guys. On the realm of fandom is beautiful, quick shout out to Heidi for helping us come up with the name of our podcast.
Thank you.
Hey, Heidi. So I think, was there any other major, we tore through the plot, it's been 45 minutes, was there any major plot thing that you wanted to talk about before just a couple of quick things?
Okay, I have like 2 more goo puns, but I'm going to save those. And then I'm done. But I have I want to touch real fast on my favorite part of the heart-to-heart between Waverly and Wynonna. And again, I think this is something that I tweeted about a little bit during the episode, was Waverly Velma-ing her own mystery. Like, just like all of this exposition, like her, like giving Wynonna the skinny on what she's been through with the goo, and like even compromised by this demon goo, like she's got a case to solve, like she's still in the mystery machine. And I loved that, because I just thought it was such a, I thought it was so true to who Waverly is.
Yeah, it wasn't just like, well, I don't know what's going on. It was, okay, I've got, like, she had, like, bullet-pointed items. It's like, this is what happened. This is how it happened. It hasn't been right. And something, like, so, yes, that was amazing, and I adore her.
Mm-hmm.
I love them all.
I do, too.
All right. So, one of the couple of things I think would be fun to go over, like, observations or theories and stuff like that we haven't touched on, and some favorite quotes, because this season, I mean, this show is a quotable show, but like this season they have been quick, and it's great. So a couple of favorite quotes.
I think, I think this made a lot of people's lists. It's not original. But the winter is coming. I got the memo. I loved it. I'm a huge Game of Thrones nerd, and I was living for that.
I kind of dug all the Robin Hood quotes.
Okay.
Like, they got significantly better, and the what was it, the Oodalali on out of here or something like that. Like that, like die. Like I could not with that quote, just because it just flew me right back to the little cartoon Robin Hood, and that was just such a weird juxtaposition against what was happening in the episode. It was just really delightful for me.
I also think we would be remiss if we didn't give a shout out to Tacos Are Tasty.
Tacos are tasty. How did we not mention that?
One, it's very true. 2, I want it on a t-shirt. Who do I email for that t-shirt?
Yes, I also would like a Tacos Are Tasty t-shirt. So please, somebody get on that.
Yeah, hit us.
I have so many good. Okay, so observations, theories. For example, we are now 4 episodes in, and Wynonna still has not killed a revenant since Bobo.
Ooh, yeah. Maybe everybody like hunkered down in the trailer park, and there's like a huge Revenant backgammon game going right now. That's my theory.
It's a good theory. I mean, although I think they mentioned that they cleared out the trailer park, so did they all book it? Did they all leave? Who knows? But no, I find that really interesting too, that a lot of the demons that she's killed this season are not really humanoid. They're very creature-esque. And I think that's really interesting and worth thinking about, that she's not really... I mean, I think the Bone Claw demon this episode is the first one that she's killed that's been really humanoid.
I think when it happens again too, we can sort of expect I would almost expect a quip or a pun or something like that in there about it. You know, I would almost expect it to be a joke, like, wow, a revenant, haven't killed one in a while. You know, so I think we'll probably see a nod to that. later. But it is 4 episodes in, so where are the Revenants? Unless
And
everything that's coming out of that portal or that seal is so dark that it has the Revenants running scared.
yeah, I mean, except for stupid Earl, who was like, I'm gonna go guard it.
Oh yeah, there was Earl. Yeah.
Yeah, but even so, she didn't kill him. She left him alone. So it's, and she hasn't killed a Revenant since she killed Bobo in a mercy kill.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was the second mercy kill in that episode. So I think that's worth thinking about. And because I've been thinking about that, I'm like, she hasn't really killed a Revenant. So I'm interested.
That's a good point. Honestly, that didn't even, it never even crossed my mind. And, I was operating under the assumption when we first saw the, like the misty vapor demon, that we were dealing with, like Willa's disembodied spirit. And I think they wanted us to think that. I think they were sort of setting it up that way, but it's, now we know that there are at least 2 of them, and that the goo, when it transferred from Waverly to Wynonna, looked very much like those creatures, that wispy sort of, black smoke. So I am theoryless on that now because my theory, has just been shot full of holes by the show.
But watch it come back in some marvelous way. Like, we don't know. That's the best part. We don't know. Right. We can sit here and have all of these theories and have all of these thoughts and analyze the crap out of it, and they're going to come back and be like, haha, just kidding. So it's it's going to be so good. I'm so excited. So I'm really, and that reminded me, I have a goo theory as well.
Okay, I want to hear it. Yeah, lay the goo theory on me.
Because it also goes back to it possessing Wynonna, and I can't believe I forgot about this because I've been like really excited that I came to this conclusion for like a week. I think the goo is really id driven, and that might be another reason why it was really attracted to Wynonna. I amended.
I can see your point. Before. I did not go there. I like it.
Yeah, sometimes I turn into a big psychology nerd.
Right. No, hit me with it, girl. I love it. Yeah.
So yeah, because I was thinking about it, I'm like, just with how the Gooverly was interacting with Nicole and just interacting in general, like when it popped out, and now I'm kind of really thinking into it, especially with the move into Wynonna, because I'm not having any fun, and look at how the goo has fun. So
right.
So if it's id driven, then what kind of demon are we looking at? Or a couple of people have suggested that it might be Willa. I mean, I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah.
To finding out. I just want to know more about the goo.
I know, I do too. Like now, but that's the other really great thing is that I think that we can trust that we are going to get answers about the goo because Waverly is finally free of it, and she's the scholar. She's the book nerd. She's gonna, I think she's gonna dig deep into this, and I think she's gonna tell us exactly what we're dealing with.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think once they believe her that she's not possessed anymore. Sorry about that. Anyway, so back to what was I saying? We're gonna learn more about the goo. Yeah. I lost my train of thought. Yeah. I'll find it in editing. So, I mean, does that pretty much wrap us up? Was there anything that we didn't touch on? Anything that we wanted to talk about?
I think that about covers it. Most of your recap, most of what we wanted to discuss. I think it's funny that somehow you and I managed not to spend 25 minutes talking about Waverly on stage. Like, that says a lot about how strong the writing in this episode was, that was not a half hour of this podcast. So hats off to Andres on that one, because you left everybody shook with, Waverly crooning her heart out.
That is a valid point. Because we did not. We mentioned it in the beginning, and then we left it alone.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, if we had done this for episode 3, there would be a long conversation about that cheerleading scene. So
it's probably better that we didn't. I'm glad that we can start off on this foot. Makes us look serious.
Yes, we are very serious, everybody who's listening to this, all 3 people. So thank you, everybody, for listening. If you want to find the 4YE Twitter, it's at 4_Y_E. That's where my recaps will be posting. And every Friday, I'm live tweeting Wynonna Earp. You can find me at C_Meushaw on Twitter. It's at CMEUSHAW. And Laura, where can they find you?
I am at RS Mayfair on Twitter. You can read my work on foryourexcitement.com. And I am also usually live tweeting Wynonna Earp with Catherine under my own handle.
So, all right, if you liked it, give us a share. If you didn't, then tell us what you think we need to improve on, but politely. So thank you for listening. We will be with you next week.